Hier staan ek onder 'n boom met 'n prentjie van Joe, want Joe is alweer nie hier nie. Stoksiel alleen staan ek hier, maar Joe is in ons harte. Wat doen jy graag as jy stoksiel alleen is op 'n Saterdag en jy nou die alleenheid bietjie wil besoeer? 'n Drankie of 'n glasie wyn. Ek het gaan kuier by Bertus Fourie. Hy is die wynmaker by Ander Oaks. Wonderlike stories om te vertel. Gaan kyk bietjie saam. Ons is hier in Wellington, Weskaap.
Parel.
O, genade.
Dis so kom jy.
Okay, Bertus Fourie. Kom ons Bertus sê vir ons, waar is ons? Tussen bottels.
Ons is tussen bottels by 'n kelder met die naam van Ander Oaks in Parel, Weskaap.
Hoe het jy hier beland, Bertus? Jy's 'n wynmaker, maar jy's 'n chef.
Ja.
Is jy van die omgewing?
Ek is van die omgewing. Hierdie was my 25ste pars in die Parel Wellington omgewing.
Ja,
Die mooiste pars ooit. Die mooiste pars ooit.
Verduidelik gou net gou vir Namibiërs, wat is pars?
Okay, pars
Ons
is
is droë blomme, dis in 'n boek is pars vir ons, vir Namibië.
dis 'n variasie op die tegniek.
O, okay.
So pars is fisies die druiwe pluk as dit reg is,
Ja.
in vatkeller toe prosesseer en wyn produseer.
Het jy dit geswat, Bertus, of waar het jy die
Ek het.
liefde gekom vir dit? So jy was jy op Elsenburg?
Nee, lang storie. Ek wou graag medies swat op skool. Ek is nie gekeer nie, so ek het BSc geswat, microbiologie, biochemie, fisiologie en sielkunde.
Ja.
Stellenbosch het my laat weet ek is gekeer, toe sê hulle sorry, administratiewe fout. En toe dink ek, wat gaan ek nou doen? Ek wil 'n wynmaker word.
Wow.
En it was God sent. Ek is so dankbaar om 'n wynmaker te wees. My vrou se wynmaker, my boetie se wynmaker. Ons love wyn.
Wat is dit die proses? Is dit daai die skep van dit, want jy maak iets, né? Is dit vir jou die lekker deel of wat is dit van hierdie hele wynstorie wat vir jou so lekker is?
Dit maak jou nederig effek van wyn maak, omdat jy met die veranderlikheid van die natuur werk. Letterlik, jy kan nie druiwe vat en nie 'n wyn probeer produseer wat die seisonaliteit reflekteer.
Ja.
Dit is so lekker om met die natuur te werk en wat die natuur jou bied. Neil Ellis het gesê it's the restrictions of nature that gives personality to the wine.
Wow. Dit is vir my geweldig interessant. Wat jy nou praat van die seisoene en daai goed en daar's vir iemand wat 'n absolute leek is met dit. Daar's maniere, dit moet in die hang wees, dit moet in hierdie grond wees en dit alles beïnvloed hoe die wyn proe, is ek reg?
Ja. En jy is nie 'n leek nie.
Okay, ek het Tassenberg gedrink.
Ons het almal tassies gedrink.
Daar's ek 'n kenner.
Een van die groot Suid-Afrikaanse ikone.
Ja.
En ek is trots om te sê ek het
Ja.
tassies gedrink en ek sal dit waaragtig vandag nog steeds drink.
Op tassies.
Op tassies. Die slim mense praat van terroir. Nou,
Okay.
dit is 'n Franse
Terrein?
ja,
Ja.
terrein is alles waaroor dit gaan. So dit gaan oor die tipe grond, dit gaan oor die helling, dit gaan oor die hoogte bo seespieël en natuurlik speel klimaat saam met die grond of 'n lokaliteit ook 'n belangrike rol in ons praat van die intrinsieke van die wyn.
Okay, nou wil ek vir jou vra nie. Jy het nou gesê jy hou van eksperimenteer. Ons het net die wyn geproe. So ek wil weet, sit jy nou Bertus en dan dink jy, ek sal nou graag 'n rooiwyn wil hê met kojavelgeure of wat ook al en dan nou dink jy dit, maar hoe kry jy dit in praktyk? Want dat jy nou genoem van die helling en al daai goed, so hoe pas dit dan nou in by dit wat jy wil doen of jou nuwe ding wat jy wil probeer?
Gelukkig ja, dit kan nou baie lank gesprek wees, maar ek gaan dit so kort as moontlik hou. Madame Philippine de Rothschild, een van die first growths daar in Bordeaux het gesê winemaking is not difficult, only the first 300 years are. Nou wat sy daarmee sê is daarso is soveel wat hulle geleer het deur trial and error.
Ja.
En ek dink dit is die essence van terroir. Sekere variëteite vaar beter op sekere plekke. So as jy daai as basis gebruik, dan is daar mos nou eenvoudige wetenskaplike beginsels ook wat jy kan toepas.
Ja.
Byvoorbeeld, as jy Chenin Blanc wil hê wat na guava ruik, yes, dan kan jy 'n spesifieke gis gebruik wat geselekteer is om hoër konsentrasies guava karakter in jou wyn te indiseer.
Okay.
So daar's
nie
terroir
wat jy brood mee bak nie.
Nee.
Nie daai, nie daai een nie.
Nee, gelukkig nie, want my kinders vrek oor brood.
Kan nie brood maak nie. Wat is wat jy maak kos ook?
Ja, ek is 'n koek, nie 'n chef nie.
Wat is die verskil? Dit klink soos ek
Een
kook
koek,
net. Kan jy sien hoe kook ek? I'm just cooking.
Nee, maar dit lyk of jou metabolisme werk. Myne werk al lankal nie meer. Die verskil tussen 'n koek is 'n koek mag dit opdons.
Okay, that's definitely.
Ek is 'n koek. 'n chef mag nie.
Oh, okay. Maar jy hou van ook daar eksperimenteer. Gebruik jy
Malhouer.
Gooi jy jou wyn, drink jy jou wyn of gooi jy dit in jou kos?
Beide. I love cooking with wine sometimes. Sometimes I add it to the dishes.
Voel jy dit bietjie anders. Okay, ek wil nou jou vra onthou in Namibië is bierdrinkers. Dat is. So as ek nou sê I'm a wine virgin. So jy wil nou vir my leer Hendriet as jy okay, en ons drink dooswyn waar ek bly in Windhoek. Waarna moet ek kyk as ek nou die bottel vat? Kan ek vir jou sê hoe koop ek dit? Wat die mooiste label het. So dis hoe ek wyn kies. So dit proe nou nie altyd so hard nie, so dan gooi ek dit nou maar in die kos dat dit verdamp. Tips. Ek soek tips vir as jy nou besluit ek wil rooiwyn drink, wat sal jy voorstel?
Sure.
Waarna sal mens kyk? Kyk jy na die jaartal? Kyk jy na 'n bekende naam?
Ek dink wyndrinkers oor die algemeen of kom ons sê the whole wine society het hulle eie taal wat eintlik 'n klomp mense wat op daai tipping point is waar hulle self ook wil wyn probeer of met wyn eksperiment. Hulle voel te geïntimideer.
Ja, dit is baie stewig vir my.
Dis verskriklik.
Ja.
Dat wyndrinkers hulle eie taal ontwikkel het en daarmee ander mense uitsluit.
Ja.
Ek bied soveel wine tastings aan waar mense kom met 'n glas en sê hulle, "Wat is ek veronderstel om te proe?"
Ai, tog.
Dan sê ek ek weet nie, sê vir my wat proe jy?
Ja.
Ek kan vir jou sê wat ek proe.
Ja.
Sommige mense hou van rooi, ander hou van blou.
Ja.
So ek dink die bottom line is drink net wyn.
Ja.
Bokswyn of dooswyn is oor die algemeen uitstekende kwaliteit.
Ja.
En ons is so geseënd met die kwaliteit en die pryspunte.
Ja.
Die prys die pryse wat ons betaal om 'n boks of 'n bottel dan nou van die rak af te haal in vergelyking met ander wêrelddele.
Ja.
We are
die
so spoiled for
verskeidenheid,
choice.
hè? Ja.
Ongelooflik. So die punt is ek en moenie fout maak nie, ek drink genoeg bier. It takes great beer to make great wine. Sê hulle. Ek drink graag bier, dit hang af van die okasie, dit hang af van die geleentheid.
Ja.
As jy voel ek wil met wyn eksperimenteer.
Ja.
Begin dalk met 'n wit, begin dalk met 'n merlot.
Ja. Of iets lig, né?
Begin net.
Ja, dis lig. Ja.
Begin nie.
Ja.
Wyn is 'n ongelooflike diverse wêreld
Ja.
en die basis van ontwikkeling van enige kultuur.
Wat is my laaste vraag wat ek wil vra? As jy moet kies, kosse, ons het nou net gepraat van die ribeye, die een wat vir jou ribeye vleis het. Rooiwyn, is dit so rooiwyn by rooi vleis, witwyn by vis, witwyn in die somer,
Hoegenaamd nie.
rooiwyn in die winter?
Hoegenaamd nie. Dis klassiek wat ons net gepraat van pompousness.
Ja.
So
Stewigheid, ja.
Nee.
Ja.
As wyn vir jou lekker is saam met 'n eier
Kan
in
jy
die
dit so
oggend,
doen, ja.
geniet dit. Ons vergeet baie kere dit
Ja,
dat wyn gemaak is vir mense om te geniet.
dis waar.
En daar is so baie om te geniet.
Ja. Ag, dis baie lekker hier. Ek hou van hoe Bertus verduidelik hoe mens wyn drink. Daar's geen stewigheid nie, daar's niks daaraan nie. Bertus, ek wil weet wanneer kom kuier jy weer by ons? Het springbokke geskiet in my land, wat jy nou net vertel.
Yes. 6-7 jaar gelede en dit was ons het geland op 'n plaas op 'n privaat lodge in 'n rivierloop.
Dit was in die suide, nee, of het
ja. In die Namibiese kant van die Kalahari en ons het met 'n Pilatus kan ek onthou vliegtuig gaan land in 'n rivierloop en ons is na hierdie lodge toe en ons het gejag. En die grootste gedeelte was nie die jag nie. Die groot gedeelte was die Kalahari truffels wat ons uitgehaal het.
Ja. Maak jy dit met room en knoffel nie?
Ja, weet wat, ek sal dit net so rou opeet.
Ja.
Dis een van die lekkerste goed wat ek nog geëet het.
Ja, dis lekker.
En in terme van wanneer ek Namibië toe kou, ek wil 3 jaar gelede weer daar gewees het so.
Ons het 'n wonderlike land en dit sal lekker wees om jou dae vir 'n glas dooswyn te kry in Windhoek.
Namibiese mense, soos ons boere mense is lekker mense. En dit sal heerlik wees om dit saam met jou daar te geniet.
Asseblief, dankie Bertus vir die gesels, dit was baie lekker. Dankie hoor. Cheers. Nou as wyn nie jou ding is nie en jy hou meer van gin, het ons nou 'n lekker insetsel van Nick Davis. Hy's die ginmaker by Monks, The Alchemy of Gin, op die oewers van die Breede Riviervallei. Gaan luister 'n bietjie wat gebruik hy alles uit die vallei en uit die rivier om sy gin te maak.
very much for coming all the way. I'll give you a background to, well, first of all, just who we are. The lady in there is my wife, Di. She's also in the business, obviously. She's responsible for the look and feel of it, the branding. I'm responsible for what goes into there. She's waving. I'm responsible for what goes into it, but we're a big team. We've got Lizzie over there, we've got Dexter, we've got Jack somewhere here. He's my distiller. So we're a very tight team. I mean, we were in 11 countries before COVID. That kind of hit us big time. We were in a big expansion program in the States. So, you know, we're kind of reconsolidating at the moment and on the rebuild. So thank you for supporting us. I'll give you a background to gin. You can ask me questions or you can stop me. Otherwise, I do tend to go on a bit. So I'll give you a background to it and then we can do the tasting. So somebody asked me when we came in, why are we called monks? You know, you've always got to come up with a brand name when you're coming up with a business and you're doing a research, the background and the whole history and the romance of distilling. And that's where, I mean, I did hundreds of courses and books and things like that. But then the actual, the romance comes in when you hear the ancient stories about how they used to distill. I mean, it was the Arabs who were distilling 2,000 years BC. So, I mean, 4,000 years ago, the Arabs were distilling, and it was for medicine. And they understood physics because you have to understand the properties of physics in order to distill. So now they were doing it in copper pots. I mean, not copper pots. They were doing it in ceramic pots. And they're taking cuttings from their scrapings, tested in labs, and there's actually juniper in there. Juniper is essential for making gin. But juniper is a medicine. It's a diuretic and it's an anti-inflammatory. So they were doing that for thousands of years. And then along came the Benedictine monks in Sicily in the 11th century. And they were the medicine men for the Roman troops. And they thought, we need to do this and try and do what the Arabs have done, but do it better. So they used copper instead of clay. Like that copper still in the corner there, which is the first still that I used to use. And that's what they did. But what they didn't understand was the purity was going up by 100-fold. The ABV was going up, so the medicine was carrying much quicker into the body. And what they also didn't understand is by using copper, it absorbs all the sulfurs and sulfates, and it does that forever. And that's why the logo for monks, you can see it up on the wall there, you can see it on the guys' jerseys, you can see it everywhere, is that symbol. That's the ancient alembic symbol for copper. So we trademarked it. But anyway, and that's also why we're called monks. So that gives you a background on that. In terms of distilling itself, to make gin, to make a premium gin, which is what we make here, you need to start with the best neutral spirit you possibly can. And it has to be over 96% ABV. So people say, what do you make gin from? Well, it must be made from potatoes, or it must be, you know, it doesn't matter. You can make it from milk. You can make it from anything. You can make vodka, anything with a carbohydrate, a starch, and a sugar in it. You can make, excuse me, ethanol from. So we've got to start. But the thing is, if I just take the grapes here, which is called Rabat vein, and I just distill it in here, I'm going to get it to about 72% ABV. And then I can distill it again with my recipes and make a gin out of it. But you're going to taste it, you're going to go, oh, it's grapes. If I made it from sugarcane, you're going to go, oh, sugarcane. Well, it's potatoes. It's always having a back flavor. If you get over 96% for the neutral spirit, then it's tasteless, colorless, and odorless. So only flavors you're going to get through is the recipe I put in there. So that's the point. That's why you've got to do it. So the neutral spirit goes in here, and then the recipe. Now, it took about 2 years to develop my first recipe. A lot of distillers buy recipes. I wasn't prepared to do that. I was going to go through the hard, but that's why I've got no hair left. Pulled it all out in the process to try to learn how to do it. When you've got 11 botanicals, you can just imagine, if there's any mathematicians here, what the permutations are when you've got the weights and ratios between those. And you just keep trying and chopping and changing. You know it's got to be juniper forward, so the majority is juniper, and then what you're doing with all the rest. So it was hundreds of gins, a lot of tears, late until we really arrived finally at a eureka moment. This one works. And then it just keep moving from there. So it took a long time. The first gin, I wanted to use a product called Sciletium. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Sciletium. You get it in southern Namibia. You get it in the Northern Cape from the Cederberg North. It's a ground cover succulent. And the Bushmen have used it for thousands of years. It's got so many medicinal properties. We make no medicinal claims. You can't when it's an alcohol. But it was the most important ingredient that went in there. There's my wife. She's got a film company. And In her industry, there's people working 15, 16 hours a day and 5 days off. And 20, 30 years ago, they used to just have 10 cups of coffee a day and then Red Bull, snort some Coke, do whatever they did to get through the day because it's such long days and then 3 hours off and then another 15 hours. These days, it's the same old bullies, the same old men and women in the industry, but they start the day with a smoothie and they have a Skeletium tablet. Because now you can buy it off the shelf. It's unscheduled and it's at Dis-Chem. It's an anti-anxiety, antidepressant. It gives you absolute focus, absolute clarity. It's the most extraordinary product. In fact, there was a friend of ours, Dr. Nigel Gericke. Our kids were at school together. He was an Austrian physician, but he got a second PhD in botany. He became the world's expert on the Cape Floral Kingdom. And then we're going to get about 200 liters out of it.
200 liters?
Yeah, you see, the thing is, this is a 500 liter tank, but you can't fill it 500 liters neutral spirit. That's volatile, that's a bomb. It's literally a bomb. So you've got to reduce it to under 50% ABV. So actually half of this is filled with water and half is filled with neutral spirit at 96%. I mean, it's highly volatile. That's why we don't have open flames here. We don't have open fires and things like that. Yeah, and ethanol at 96%, which is what all of those are over there. One spark next to that and none of us would exist. I mean, it's literally...
Smokers are...
Yeah.
What different flavors, if you call it flavors?
Yeah, which we don't, but we have 3 different types of gins. People are used to going into shops and they see flavored gins and they see colored gins and things like that. Now, I'm a purist, but there's a space for everyone and it's absolutely fine. But what we make is, our method is called London Dry Gin. So everything is pure. There's never any additive. Once it's come out of here, all we add is crystal clear mountain spring water to blend it, to bring it down to 43% for bottle strength, and then it goes out. Now, when you add a color, because you can't distill with a color, right? So when you've seen a colored gin, you know they've added color. And to add a color, you've got to add a fixative, because otherwise the color will eventually go brown. So there's all sorts of additives that go in there, and that's fine. I don't mind if people do it, but by law, they're actually not allowed to be called gins. Those are called spirit aperitif, and it's supposed to be on a separate shelf. You'll notice, next time you go in a bottle store and you look at like the Beef Eater, and you know they've got the Beef Eater, the clear one, the normal one. It's been around for hundreds of years, and now they've got the pink one next to it. Look at the label next to it, because they'll be next to each other in the bottle store. And you assume that they're gin, but look at it next time. You'll see, that pink one doesn't even say gin. It says aperitif or something like that. But a lot of them do. And one of our gins is a blueberry one. So we've got those all under that cover there, opposite there. That's all blueberries. It's export. It's called Eureka. They're this size. You never get them here. You only get them in Sainsbury's in England. We can't even get them here. We can go and we just get handfuls, but you can't generally. Now, the gin is made from the blueberry. You know, we macerate it here for 2 weeks. There's a grape press out there, and everything goes through the grape press. And it's a most beautiful color, and it all goes in here. Of course, the color comes out. You know, it comes out clear, so there's no color in the end. So if you go on a shelf and you see a blueberry gin and it's a color, well, you know it's just they've added flavor and they've added a color or two. So when I tell you about our blueberry gin just now, don't expect it to have a blueberry flavor. It's made from blueberries. You know, there's a big difference. It's got the goodness of blueberries in it, but it's not a blueberry flavored gin.
Ek en Joe Meridadi, my uitspeelmaatjie wat nou nie hier is vandag nie, wil net sê ons keer nie goed drankmisbruik of drankgebruik vir persone onder 18 jaar, maar as jy ouer as 18 is, gaan gooi vir jou daai glasie wyn of gin. Mooi naweek.